Hey everyone, welcome to Play Hooky with me. My name is Roz. Today we're going to focus on how to put a border around a corner-to-corner crochet project. I have two very simple methods for this that makes it very easy to count and get a very even border around. It can be used to serve as a base to add a more decorative border after, or if you need something to help you join to other panels to make a bigger blanket or project. And then I have a third option if you just want to go directly onto what you've just finished with a scallop style border, and you don't need a baseline border to do that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll explain more as we go. The first border we're going to work on is the single crochet all the way around. I have a couple of tips here to make this a very stress-free activity and makes the count just a dawdle here, okay? The first step or first tip I have for this is to make sure that your squares or your panels are even numbers. For example, mine is a 4 by 4. If you try to do it with an odd number, the count is not going to come out even on all the sides. So to continue on with that train of thought, the sequence for this would be a 3 and a 2. What we're doing is we're focusing on the bars here, the vertical bars and the horizontal bars. And for the horizontal, we're going to do a count of 2. For the vertical, we're going to do a count of 3. And I've seen this in many videos. It's a pretty standard form of doing this. I have tried doing 3 and 3, and I always come back to the 3 and 2. It makes it a little bit tighter. Less is more in this situation, and I think you're going to be happy with the 3 and 2 sequence as well. Now, as far as the count for the corners, this varies, and it really has a lot to do with what project you're working on. As you can see, I like to work very small, so I don't need a lot in my corners to get around. You really just need to focus on what you can do to get around that won't make your corners curl up too much. So a very standard corner for a base when you're just trying to get stitches around your project would be a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now for me in particular with this, I don't need all of that to get around. I'm only going to do chain 1 or chain 2 to get around. But the single crochet, chain 2, single crochet is standard. So really play around with this and see what works best for you. Okay, so to get started, we're going to fasten on in a corner. Now, if you are going to follow along and just do a chain 1 or a chain 2 to get around your corners, just hold on one second. I just want to show you an alternative though. If you are doing the standard single crochet, chain 2, single crochet corner, go ahead and put a slip knot on your hook. This can serve as your first single crochet. I like to do this because it's less bulky, okay? And so you're fastening on and doing a single crochet at the same time. And then go ahead and do your chain 2 with your single crochet. Okay? And I'm just going to do a loose fastening on, and I will make sure to darn in my ends very well when I finish this row. And then I will chain 1 to serve as my corner, and now we're going to get ready to do our block. Okay, so we've done our corner, and now I'm ready to get started on my row. And this is the part that was always the trickiest for me, was trying to figure out, okay, I'm on the corner, which side of the block do I focus on here, vertical or horizontal? You focus on both, depending on which direction you're going. Since I'm starting on this row here, I have a horizontal happening, so I am doing 2. It's 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Now I am at the 3 verticals, and so I'm going to start my 3 double crochets. And I like to just start in the very first gap here and then continue on. So 1, 2 and 3. You may prefer to go into, let me show you here. You may not like that. You may prefer to go into the tops. It depends, you know, whatever makes your row look the most even, I would focus on that. And so for me, instead of going into the top here, it gets a little high for me. It raises up too high, so I go back down to the lower portion of it, sort of in the gaps. For me, that makes the most even row. And you know, if you're doing it in the same color as your squares, this will be very hard to see anyway. And then we move back to the 2 because we're in the horizontal again. And 3. Back to the 3s. 1, 2, 3. And we are in our corner. I'm going to chain 1, and then I am back to a horizontal, the horizontal side. So I am doing a single crochet, 2 single crochets for the horizontals. And I will meet you at the other end. Okay, so I'm at the end of my block here, and I have 3 single crochets left to do. So 1, 2, and 3. And now I just, where I began, I had a little fastening on, so I just go here and fasten off, and we are done. Okay, border number 2 is ridiculously simple, and all you're going to need to focus on for this one is a chain 2 and a single crochet. You're doing this all the way around. Okay, so to get started, let's go ahead and get into a corner. Fasten on however you like best. And now for this, even though I'm working smaller, I'm going to show you this technique because it works just fine even with smaller pieces. And that is going to be, the corners are single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, and then you're going to have chain 2s on either side. Let me show you what I mean. So fasten on and make yourself a single crochet or a chain 1 to serve as your first single crochet. It's up to you, whichever way you prefer. And now I'm doing a chain 2 and then a single crochet. Now we go into our technique or our system here, which is a chain 2, 1, 2, and in the first gap or space you're going to do a single crochet. Now you have a choice here. You can either go into the gap or you can go into the space above it. I have found that if I go into the space above it, I get a more even look on the sides here. When I go down into the gaps, it goes a bit too low for my liking. It gets a bit too bulky. So I'm going to go into that space to do my single crochet. Okay, chain 2, 1, 2, back to a space, either in here or here. I'm going to the one above. Now, if you were working in the same color as your project here, this would disappear and it wouldn't be eye-catching. But again, if you're working with a different color, you may not like this look. You just have to play with it and see what you prefer. Chain 2, 1, 2, single crochet into that little space in that gap, chain 2. We're back to our corner. So now find a spot that you like to create your corner, and I think I'm going to go in right below this little knot here, and I'm going to do my single crochet, chain 2, and in the same space do another single crochet, and that is your corner. Okay, chain 2, 1, 2. Now we're back to the spaces, and here you can choose where you want to go again. I'm going to go into that little space there. Each side is a little different. One side, there isn't an option. You just have to go right into the gap there, and it's very thin, so it works just fine. 1, 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2. We're at our corner again, so I'm going to do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2. Now see what I mean? Here's my gap. I could kind of go up in here, but I think that's thin enough to where I'm okay. Chain 2. Yeah, definitely thin enough. Chain 2. Single crochet. Chain 2. We're at the corner, so we do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and chain 2. We've just finished our last chain 2 and we're at another corner, so we're just going to slip stitch into that corner and you are finished. And I actually really like this because if you don't want to do another border on top of this, this is quite a nice finishing touch on the project, and you don't have to go any further than that, you see. And finally, technique number 3, if you want to skip your foundation border altogether and you just want to put a nice little finishing touch on your corner to corner blanket, why not just do a scalloped edge? And I just kind of winged this. I went and did double crochets. I used a double crochet technique for this. I did 7 double crochets in the corners and 5 double crochets on the sides with a single crochet between each gap to secure it and give it the little dips. Let me show you what I mean here. Okay, so I've just finished in this previous gap a single crochet, and like I said, I'm just alternating. I just kind of made this up as I went along, so adjust it to fit your needs. I did 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now I've come to my next gap, so I'm just going to put a single crochet in there. And I've reached a corner. And so I did try 5 double crochets all the way around, but I found that my corners, I just needed a little bit more, so I just bumped it up to 7. So for mine, I did 7 double crochets. I'm back to another gap, so I just put a single crochet to give it my dip. I'm back to another gap, 5 double crochets, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now I have one more gap, so I just single crochet it together. And now I'm at a final corner. And when I started my corner, I just did a foundation chain of, or a starting chain of 3 to serve as my first double crochet. And at that time, I thought I was just going to do 5 all the way around, but like I said earlier, that wasn't working for me on the corners. So I have 5 already established, so I'm going to finish with 2 more to give me my total of 7 in the corner. Whoops. Okay, And now I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of where I began. And there we go. And that's it for today. I hope you got something out of this, out of one of these options. I hope you can use these for your borders. As you can see in the background, I am working on a gingham style corner to corner join as you go project. Hope to show you more of that soon. If you're interested in learning how to do this, I do have a video that I'll link to here at the end to check out how to do this technique. It's a lot of fun and gives you a lot of scope for various projects. As always, thank you for playing hooky with me, you guys. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and leaving comments. I always love hearing from you. Hope to see you next time. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.